Hari Om. Today we are discussing the ninth mantra of the section 2 of chapter 3 of Mundaka. The mantra reads Sayoha vai tat paramam brahmaveda brahmeva bhavati nasya brahmavid kule bhavati tarati shokam tarati papmanam guha grindibhyo vimukto amruto bhavati. The word meaning or the rough meaning as per Shankara Bhashyam is this: he who knows or he who has realized the highest, the Brahman, becomes the Brahman, and in his line or lineage of family, none who do not know Brahman will ever be born. He crosses grief and virtue and vice, and being freed from the knot of the heart becomes immortal. This is the brief meaning of the stanza, mantra. Now, as usual, we will get into the a little more meaning, though not in full, little more expanded meaning of this mantra. The Angiras Rishi is again repeating what he had earlier stated, so that the student's mind is fresh with that singular positive promise that he shall attain his long cherished goal if he has known Brahman, meaning obtained a subjective experience of being the self. This is what he's trying to convey. He's trying to put it across in his mind so that it will be fresh in his memory. This fact that he is going to be the Brahman and one with the Brahman, once he has received the subjective experience, is what is or what should be in the uppermost of his mind. That is where Angiras is again and again repeating this idea. Now, in the Akshara Brahma Yoga of chapter 8 of Bhagavad Gita, a very important chapter, we have a beautiful concluding stanza of that chapter echoing this Upanishadic declaration. Remember, Bhagavad Gita is nothing but essence of Upanishads. So, the important stanzas are taken and the meaning is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Now, in the 8th chapter, at the end, the last shloka of the 8th chapter reads in Bhagavad Gita, Vedeshu yajneshu tapassu chaiva daneshu yat punya bhalam pradishtham atyeti tat sarvamidam vididva yogi param sthanam upaiti chadyam. This is the stanza. It says, whatever fruits of merit is declared in the scriptures as is ordained, whatever results are ordained by performing certain actions. What are those actions? By study of Vedas, Vedeshu, Yajneshu, Tapassu Chaiva, Daneshu, by study of the Vedas, performance of sacrifices, austerities, charity, etc. Vedeshu, Yajneshu, Tapassu Chaiva, Daneshu, Yat Punya Bhalam Pradishtam. Yat, that Punya Bhalam which is guaranteed, which is declared Pratishtam, which is ordained, whatever is that Punya Bhalam, you do yaga, you do yajna, we have studied all that. Some egocentric desires, we do charity, We build ashram, we build a chowtry, we dig a well, we dig a pond, do yaga, do yajna. For what? Whatever each karma promises a result, daneshu punya bhalam pradishtam. Whatever punya bhalam you get, atyeti sat sarvamidam viditva. Much beyond all that, beyond all this, goes the yogi. He is not going for all this. He doesn't want all this. Where does the yogi go? Yogi param sthanam upaiti madhyadyam. Having known the Brahman, even though he has realized the Brahman after doing all this prescribed karmas in the Veda and thereby accruing a bank credit to his account, points, credit points in the credit card he has acquired, he goes beyond all that. Because the result of knowing the Brahman is to be with the Brahman and is to be Brahman. Attains the Supreme Self. Each of the fruits of action ordained by each of the above rituals are no doubt is entitled to him for various benefits, including a visa to heaven. All this is entitled, no doubt about it. But he goes much beyond. Who cares for this? There is a political worker in a council area. He is doing a very good job. He contacts with the people. He is a councillor. He is in his constituency all the time, spending most of the time trying to remove their difficulties, grievances. He is approachable. He does good things. His fund is utilized for noble purposes. Bus shelter, this, that, road cleaning. He does a wonderful job and everybody appreciates it. No dispute. He does all that. So when so much of good work is done, people cannot resist rewarding him. So all the people put together, even the other council members were praising him that yes, we can't do like him, but he has done it. Wonderful job. So all of them decided in that council meeting that this person should be made the chairman of the council. In addition, he got some awards declared. Please come for the award presentation. You have got won that award, you have got this Shramadhan award, that Dan award, this Dan award. Rotary Club has given him some awards. Everybody has given some awards and the date is fixed for receiving all that. The swearing in date of the chairman of the municipal council is also fixed. This is the chairman of that council, unopposed. Nobody to beat him. He has been declared. The date has been fixed and he has been invited. The previous day of that ordained date, he gets an email message from Rashtrapati Bhavan that he has been appointed as a Union Cabinet Minister, Government of India. Where will he go? Without telling anybody who offered all this to him and honored him. Next flight he will take to Delhi. Even if it is a COVID days, he will take a chartered flight. Well, what is he offered? Where is that union minister? Where is that status? Where is the status of this petty councillor, the chairman? What is his Rotary award? What is his Shramadhan award? Think. What can be the best promise for me? For Vedeshu, Yageshu, Yajneshu, Tapassu, all these things, Daneshu. What will be the Punya Phalam that I get? Paltry things. And what I got now? I am one with the government of India. I am one with the Union of India. I have identified myself. An opportunity is given me to identify myself with the Union of India. I am India. My hai Bharat. He doesn't care. These things are, as I mentioned earlier, that word is very, very important. These are all irrelevant to him. So therefore he detaches himself from all these things and goes to Delhi. So all the punyas that he has acquired will become irrelevant to him. He tyaja, he sacrifices or he renounces or he surrenders all that before that great unbroken experience of joy. Now similarly, his papas, he might have done certain heinous crime, yes, pre-realization period. Now for that crime, as in India, it takes time to file a charge sheet, FIR, charge sheet, then inquiry, all these things. Ultimately, the case has gone to the court, and years after, on a particular individual who has done the crime, let's say I have done a crime. It's a, what do you call that? Culpable offense. I can be arrested. Unbailable arrest warrant can be produced against me. That is a type of crime I have done. The policeman, constable, the court officer, all that put together, they come with that arrest warrant to my house. And when they come to my house, they find a lot of people gathered. The person who has committed the crime, the police thought he will arrest him and go, but in his house, a lot of people have gathered around. A sort of mourning atmosphere all around. When he asked him, is this Mr. Ramakrishnan's house? Yes, it is Ramakrishnan's house. Then the moment they saw the police, constable, court and all that, they were really worried. They asked, what's the matter? No, we wanted to check up whether this is Ramakrishnan's house. Yes, it is Ramakrishnan's house. Where is Ramakrishnan? And he showed Ramakrishnan, lying as a dead body. Oh, when did this happen? This morning. This morning he died. Think please. The moment he dies, although he has committed and he is entitled for a punishment and the arrest warrant is there, the result is there, the arrest warrant is there, but the karma bhala cannot be implemented on him because he is no more. Karma bhala will play its role only when there is a doership. When I do an action without doership and enjoyership, kartrutva bhava or bhoktritva bhava, the karma bhala cannot play. I have died to that situation. Now please don't take the example too far. Just take it till where it is required. Then drop it. So when a person dies, just as a warrant, for which he is punishable under an act of the law of the land, cannot be served on him, it is irrelevant to him. All the actions of bad deeds that he has done is closed. Unfortunately, one file in the government office gets closed. Accused, deceased, dead, deceased, accused, deceased, file closed. Isn't it? So even all the papas that he has done, vimuchyante, he is released from all that. He is not at all bothered. He is beyond all that. So all the papas that he has done, vasanas that he has done, he has got the unmanifest vasanas in him, everything get burnt by that fire of knowledge. Jnana agni dagdha karmanam. So there is no question of a realized soul ever coming back to this mundane world, just as a salt ball dipped in the ocean. As a ball of salt, no doubt, it has a separate individual idea or identity, but once it reaches the waters of the ocean, what shall I say, gracefully merges with the ocean and becomes one with it, and the entity of a salt ball, where he was placed earlier, in which pot he was placed in the kitchen, how it was handled, all those history and geography is gone. It becomes one with the mass of homogeneous ocean water. It cannot return as it has reached its final destination. Yad gatva na nivartande tadhama paramam mama. I have reached my paramadhamam, my real home. Why should I come back now? The factor that makes him distinct from Brahman, what is that factor in a person that makes him feel that he is distinct from Brahman? It is avidya, ignorance, ego, giving rise to attachment, isn't it? These are the causes. The flow chart. If through an intelligent exercise of enlightened detachment, he is able to cut asunder all his attachments with the objects, emotions and thoughts. Attachment means ego and egocentric desires. The false ego naturally drops off, and that gives rise to absence of kartrutva bhava and bhoktatva bhava, the doership and enjoyership. When that is dropped, he doesn't have an existence here. His residential address changed. We have another beautiful stanza in Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter. Na roopamasyeha tatopalabhyate nantorna chadirna jasampradishta ashwattamenam suvirudha asangashastrena dridhena chitva. The sloka says its form, the form of Brahma, the reality, is not perceived its end is not perceived, its beginning is not perceived, its origin is not perceived, its foundation is not perceived, its resting place is not perceived. Narupamasyeha tatopalabhyate. You cannot obtain him, you can't get him, you can't understand him. You have the rupa, the form cannot be identified. Nantorna chadir najasam pradishta. Its end is not known, its beginning is not known, its resting place is not known. Where can I get this fellow? It is not known. Why? Because you are full of your negative thoughts of avidya, attachment. So then how to know him? Simple. What is causing you problem? What is causing you obstruction? My attachment is causing me obstruction. Cut off the attachment. If you cut asunder this firm and deep-rooted attachment, with what will I cut? Hacksaw blade? Yes, with an axe of detachment. The word exactly used. And he describes this avidya as a Ashwatha Vriksha, a huge people tree. 15th chapter describes this, what you call, inverted tree of people. Very deep rooted. The roots are so fattened by your vasanas, by your gunas, by your ignorance. And they are stuck in this earth with their karma phalas, pulled in different directions. So that Ashwatha tree you have to cut off. How will you cut? Ashwathamenam suvirudha moolam. Suvirudha moolam. From the moola, from the root you have to cut. You bring a JCB. How will you cut? Asanga shastrena dridhena chitwa. Resolutely cut it. Chitwa means cut it. How to cut it? Asanga shastrena, with a sword of detachment, an enlightened detachment. Cut asunder all these negative tendencies of your desires, vasanas, egocentric actions, all these things you cut off. And once you do that, you shall come to gain him from where you do not return. Now the Rishi continues to encourage and fascinate the disciple by giving him yet another point to ponder. He says, in the very family lineage of yours, or of such persons, of such, what shall I say, perfect masters who have realized the Brahman, there shall be born no one ignorant of Vedic culture in that family for entire lineage. Look at the guarantee, or look at the hope of the rishis. This is indeed the confidence the Aryan gurus instilled in their disciples in earlier days, encouraging to live a pure and divine scheme of life called Sanatana Dharma. We can certainly see the veracity of the Rishi's declaration even in our modern times. Don't you see that? Is it not our experience even today that a truly cultured man has a cultured family, and an untutored and illiterate man has an equally hopeless and uncultured family? Uncultured family. In the days of yore, if a member of the family had climbed a certain ladder of evolution in a dharmic way and reached the roof of his existence, great man, through his dharmic deeds, dharmic actions, he has reached a respectable state in the society. There will certainly be in that family a Vedantic tradition and a spiritual civilization for a number of generations. And we veneer him. Oh, he's the grandson of that. He's the great grandson of C.P. Ramaswamy Iyer. Even today people say that. Oh, he comes from the Chechur family. My God. Oh, I see. If today we have fallen from that noble tradition, certainly, dear friends, it is not the fault of the Rishi. Please understand this. And the mantra concludes by assuring the seeker that he shall go beyond the sorrows, since as his ego world have been bombed out of existence. His ego has been shattered, blasted, bombed out. The whole whole egocentric city has gone, totally bombed. The unseen threads of samsara, pulled by his vasanas pressure, is also cut off. He is no more a puppet doll playing. And that is paving his way to true and real immortality. That is how he concludes this mantra today. And tomorrow we'll discuss the 10th mantra. Let us see what we have in store for us on the penultimate mantra of Mundaka Upanishad. And then day after tomorrow we'll take up the 11th and the last mantra. And with a prayer of Purnamada Purnamidam, we'll close this session of Mundaka Upanishad. Thank you very much and Hari Om.